Happy Friday. Good morning, my friends. TGIF. How'd y'all sleep last night? Normally I'm in bed around, like 7 p.m. Knocked out, sleeping. Have kind of a golden girl schedule. I have dinner at like 4 in the afternoon. Whew. The YouTube streets are on fire. And to clarify, our channel, yes, it's ours. You guys are the channel. I am not. We are a true crime channel. But sometimes people make the necessary occur, and that's what happened last night. We will discuss it further in a couple of days when things simmer down. But today, we are going to be talking about something that Netflix couldn't even write. And that is the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. And there are other people in Bardstown, Kentucky that have just gone. It is so much like the Murdaugh situation. And it's kind of like Pikestown too, because there's something going on with this dude's family. Now, on the left, he's going to have to get a nickname. I need you guys to help. Take a poll, make a vote. His name is Brooks Houck. Some people call him Houck. Well, we know my first name is Brooks, so every time I would read the articles over the last 8 years, my eyes would pop out going, what are you talking about, me? So we got to get a name for him, and on the left is his brother, Nick. We're going to talk about Nick today. There has been an arrest, but the arrest is for conspiracy. Conspiracy. Cat wants to call him Moobs. Rap! What up, Rap? Brooks. Well, Rap, let's pick a nickname for the suspect in the Crystal Rogers case. Everyone, give a round of applause to our friend Rap real quick. If you know, you know. Thank you, Rap, for your hard work yesterday. And it will continue. If you know, you know. Nucky said Crooks sounds good to me. I love it. I love it. Let's do it. There is a poll up. I cannot see it from here. So if you can, keep me updated on the poll. Rap said, sorry, I'm behind y'all. This is my first time hearing about it. And a lot of people too. On Fridays, I have been making a plan to talk about cases that need more coverage. And I believe what has happened in the beautiful town of Bardstown, Kentucky needs more coverage. Let's take a second and welcome everyone and say TGIF, Baptist church style. Your neighbor above, your neighbor under. We made it to Friday. Last night didn't look like we were going to, but woo, we survived the apocalypse. It's okay. Like I said, if you know, you know. I'll be talking about it over the weekend. Hello, Glenn. Thanks for coming in. On the screen is the beautiful Crystal Rogers. This is from the FBI's website. You can download the poster, share it. Blonde, blue eyes, 5'9", 155 pounds. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individuals responsible for the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. On July 5th, Crystal Rogers was reported missing by her mother. You're going to love her mother. I would love to have her mother on the show. She is a warrior. She's going to remind you of a little bit older Brandy Neal, because she's not giving up. And guess what? In the search for justice, her husband, Crystal's daddy, was murdered too. It's a very complicated case, and one show won't cut it, guys. There's no way we can get through all of this in one show. So bear with me. Individuals responsible for the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. Reported missing by her mother, not the boyfriend. That's very important. After she had not been seen or heard from since the evening of July 3rd, 2015. The same day Rogers was reported missing, her car was found abandoned with a flat tire at mile marker 14 on the Bluegrass Parkway in Bardstown, Kentucky. Bardstown, Kentucky looks like a Norman Rockwell poster. It is a gorgeous little town. Rogers' keys, phone, and purse were still inside her red Chevy Impala. Rogers is the mother of 5 children and is not known to go anywhere without her children. Then on November 19th, 2016, Rogers' father, Tommy Ballard, was shot and killed on family property near Bluegrass Parkway in Bardstown, Kentucky. They tried to call it a hunting accident, but Crystal's mother said, no go, no way. This is no hunting accident. Someone murdered my husband and my daughter. The FBI has been heavily involved in Crystal's disappearance. Let's take a look at what they found.
They've found an item of interest in the search for missing mother, Crystal Rogers. Now in day 4, agents in Bardstown have narrowed their focus on a specific driveway in the Woodlawn Springs subdivision. WHS 11 Shane McAllister continues to cover Bardstown.
News of that discovery from the FBI making this search feel even more real for the Ballard family, the community, and even the Nelson County Sheriff, who worked this case for 5 years before the FBI took the lead.
The FBI took the lead for many reasons, in my opinion. For one, also, an officer in their department, his name is Jason Ellis, was murdered. His widow believes that the conspiracy arrest for Crystal is going to open up his case as well. Again, this will not be just one show. Nucky's been following this heavily. She can probably tell you everything about it.
I'm getting goosebumps. And at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter who solves it as long as it gets solved.
From 5 houses down, the Nelson County Sheriff is doing his part, running a roadblock, protecting the integrity of the FBI's investigation.
Until the FBI tells us they're done. We're here for the long haul.
We don't know what the FBI found at the search site, only that it's an item of interest recovered from underneath the driveway on a property with ties to Brooks Houck. Houck owned the property when Crystal Rogers went missing. He has since...
Underneath the driveway. Underneath the driveway. Now then, here's a word to the wise. I don't need to tell you guys because, well, you already know. But, you know, you hear on the YouTube streets people say, let's take, for example, the Summer Wells case or the Michael Vaughn case. And they go, well, there's no evidence. They're not giving us nothing. Nobody's been arrested. So there can't be nothing going on. Okay. See, people that are involved in cases like this, the tip line that scrolls across the news channels, they're not the ones that are going to call. Underneath the driveway.
On a property with ties to Brooks Houck. Houck owned the property when Crystal Rogers went missing. He has since sold it, according to public records. It's also the same property where a cadaver dog hit, while Team Crystal searched the spot 5 years ago.
The fact that they're back searching in that area tells me maybe we had a clue, but we just couldn't find what we were looking for.
Sherry Ballard shared that on Tuesday, day one of what has now turned into a 4-day search. Every day, she says, the hope intensifies, but so does the fear. She and everyone else watching this case want to see real action, real answers.
It's not about the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. It's not about the FBI. It's about closer to the family and putting the people behind bars at the end of the day.
When it comes to accountability, the FBI had a not so subtle message, writing they know there are people in this community who have information on Crystal's disappearance, and the time to come forward is now.
Woo! Listen to that again. They were not so subtle in what they said. They know that there are people in the community. They are also focused on the family farm. Let's take a look at this. We're going to learn a little bit more about the farm. Like I said, this can't be one show. There's a lot to go through. This is a big farm in Bardstown. You see Nick Houck's home. That's the brother that was working for the police at the time. You're going to get to hear about him again. Then you have Crook's home. I'm not going to call him Brooks. And the FBI has been on this farm many times. They have served a lot of search warrants.
There are people in this community who have information on Crystal's disappearance, and the time to come forward is now. And it's not only Crystal's family closely watching this search today. I also spoke with Jason Ellis's family. His sisters tell us they are watching every new development coming from this site. They told us that they truly believe answers in Crystal's case could lead to answers in his case as well. In Bardstown, I'm Shay McAllister.
And that Shay McAllister has been a dog that's on a hunt. Let me tell you. I hope she's got security at her house because she's not letting it go. Going to talk about Jason Ellis too at the end of the show, because to do it justice, we need to do an entire show about Jason Ellis. It would take all day again. Now, there is an admin of a Facebook group that I invited to come up on panel. She might be listening. I don't know. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She is like an encyclopedia to this case. But she has come down with the flu. And again, there will be another show. You are going to absolutely fall in love with Crystal's mother. She'll remind you of Brandy Neal. She's not giving up. She's not scared of these people. She's right there in the town. She knows there is some sort of conspiracy, connection, hidden secrets. Again, this is a lot like a Murdaugh situation. In Pikestown, there are many people walking around Bardstown that know what's going on.
Heartache and unanswered questions. Where is Crystal Rogers? The Bardstown mom disappeared 8 years ago today, and for the first time, we're hearing what the FBI initially told Crystal's mom when they took over the case, and why it's been a tough reality to face.
July 3rd, 2015.
The search began early Tuesday morning. We're being held about.
The FBI wrapped up.
Crystal Rogers disappeared.
Remember Crystal Rogers?
Of Bardstown near the intersection.
Parents Tommy and Sherry
Help
Ballard.
to bring Crystal home.
Gosh, it's been like torture.
Year after year,
It's,
still
it's,
no answers.
I can't even believe I had to wait 8 years. It doesn't get easier as
8 years. And this is with the FBI involved. Let me tell you something. The devil knows how to hide. The devil knows how to hide. The devil knows how to lie. The devil knows how to not talk and just go about their daily life like nothing's going on. Honestly, they still sleep at night. They still sleep at night. Nicey Marie said, when listening to that sheriff speak, I'm just saying it sounds like Ronnie Lawson, no disrespect. Oh, no, I get it. I get it. Because when the FBI has to come in and take something over, it's because they can't handle it or they won't. Now, they tried. But these are their own people. These are their own people. It's a lot better when outsiders come in and they can get stuff done. We know cases where for some reason, they don't want to let outsiders in. Mark Fullerton is a very good example. Michaela Jones is a very good example. Alana Raffield is a very good example. 8 years.
I believe I had to wait 8 years. It doesn't get easier as the time goes by.
Crystal Rogers seemingly vanished into thin air.
People tell you it gets easier.
At this point,
It hasn't for me.
people know her story. In Bardstown, in Louisville, and across the nation. Mother of 5 gone missing July 3rd, 2015.
It's not like my daughter not to get in touch with us.
Her boyfriend at the time and father of her youngest child, Brooks Houck, is considered to be the last person to see her alive.
I didn't trust Brooks Houck to begin with. I knew what kind of relationship they had and how he treated her. And the minute that I knew she wasn't in contact with anyone, then that's when I knew something was definitely wrong.
He's also the main suspect in her disappearance, but has never been charged in the case. Family found Crystal's car abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway. The maroon Chevy Impala had a flat tire with Crystal's keys, purse, and cell phone still inside. The case has gone from the Nelson County Sheriff's Office to Kentucky State Police and ultimately the FBI in 2020.
The FBI guy that I work with is busting his butt, and I mean literally busting his butt to find answers for my family. And, you know, he's very good at his job.
You know, and a mama always knows. A mama always knows, and she did not trust that fool. I can only imagine the conversations, to be quite honest. She did not trust him.
Over the years, the Houck family farm, the homes of Brooks Houck and his brother Nick Houck, have been searched multiple times along with a storage unit. In 2021, the driveway of a home built by Houck was ripped up. And most recently in 2022, the FBI was back again at the Houck farm for a 5-day search. But what is the Federal Bureau of Investigation looking for? Because it's not just FBI agents executing these warrants. IRS agents have been on scene as well. Still, no arrests. Ballard says Crystal planned on leaving Brooks and the job she had helping him with his rental properties.
She looked at me out of the blue, just out of the blue. We were not talking about that. And she's like, Mom, he thinks I'm an idiot. She said, but I have everything. She said, I have all of his rentals. I have his tax papers. I have everything.
I absolutely adore her mother. I adore her mother. September Virgo. She said, just coming in to show some love. I just showed some love. I gifted some memberships. Let's take a second and tell our friend September Virgo happy 60th birthday. And it's also Miss C.D. Isaac's birthday. Oh my goodness. Cue the music. And look at that, for her birthday, September Virgo is gifting memberships. Misty Doo did that on her birthday too. It's raining. Get your umbrellas and turn on your gifts. You don't want to miss the members live tomorrow. Trust me, you don't. You don't want to miss this one. We love you, September Virgo. We love you, Miss CD. Now, I have a lot of people in here that are new, names we haven't seen before. And they have a lot of knowledge about this case. So I'm going to drop the link. And if anybody wants to come up, I don't bite because I want to hear your take on it. Oh, hang on. Christina's dropping some trivia. She said, did you know September 16th has the most birthdays? I did not. Thank you for that, Madam Secretary. My goodness. My heart absolutely breaks when I see mothers like Sherry and others that we have seen on this show. The daddies too, don't get me wrong. Her husband, Crystal's daddy, got murdered. They tried to call it a hunting accident. Just listen to her words.
Probably we were not talking about that. And she's like, Mom, he thinks I'm an idiot. She said, but I have everything. She said, I have all of his rentals. I have his tax papers. I have everything. And she said, and I hid that. And to this day, Fallon, if I have one big, huge regret, it's because I did not ask her where she put that.
She wants people to know just because you don't see the FBI on the ground in Bardstown every day, it doesn't mean they aren't working the case.
You know, the first thing the FBI told me when they got involved with this, and they're like, please don't take this the wrong way, but you know, we're not here to find your daughter. We're here to find justice for her. And if we find her in the meantime, that's a very, very good thing.
Do you know how hard that had to be to hear that from her? Because the FBI, they'll come in with a special prosecutor. They'll get with the Attorney General's office and say, listen, we're not going to be able to find the body, but we are going to get justice. I will never understand how a DA can convince a jury that a murder has happened without a body. You got to be skilled. And for a mother to have to hear that from the FBI, because we've seen many cases where the DA said, I'm not doing anything till you bring me something. You better bring me something. But for a mother to have to hear from an FBI agent, if we find her along the way, that'll be great. But right now, we're after justice.
The first thing the FBI told me when they got involved with this, and they're like, please don't take this the wrong way, but you know, we're not here to find your daughter. We're here to find justice for her. And if we find her in the meantime, that's a very, very good thing.
Would it be enough, you know, to get justice for Crystal, but never have that answer of where she is?
Sometimes there are just no words to adequately express the pain your heart has endured for so long. Sometimes your tears tell the entire story.
I'm sorry.
But wiping them away doesn't wipe away the grief.
It don't get easier. I know that's a possibility, but it's one I don't want to face.
The missing mom of 5 comes from a close-knit family.
I just have to be patient, and
that would give anything to have answers after 8 years.
And gosh, and pray to God that I don't have to wait very many more.
The FBI declined our request for an interview for this story, but released this statement on social media today. It says, over the last year, FBI Louisville has made significant progress in bringing this case to its rightful conclusion, and that Crystal's family and the Bardstown community deserve justice.
What a statement. Over the last year, FBI Louisville has made significant progress in bringing this case to its rightful conclusion. Now, you heard what the agent said to her and said to her mama, who loves her daughter very much and had suspicions about crooks. They said, don't take this the wrong way. If we find her along the way, great. But we're here to get justice. And MK is gifted memberships. Thank you so much, MK. You guys are the absolute best. You are such a generous community. You just don't see that anywhere else. Thank you so much. They go on to say, we continue to pursue every available lead until those responsible for Crystal's disappearance are held accountable. Those are some strong words. Along the way, in the last 8 years, Sherry, Crystal's mama, who is beautiful, has had to hear psychic predictions that have just about put her in a straitjacket. She has had social media trolls that have attacked the character of her daughter. You heard it right. You heard it right. Nani, thank you for the Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Thank you, dear heart. MK and Nani are making it rain. Yes, this community is a blessing and it's a family. Sometimes it's a very dysfunctional family, but I think that's what works best about us. So imagine you are torn up. Your daughter is missing. You have a very good idea of what happened. You have psychics, social media trolls questioning the character of your family and your missing daughter. Then you have the murder of your husband. We'll talk about that in a minute. I think it's absolutely disgusting. FBI has heavily targeted the Houck farm. Ooh, look at Miss C.D. Isaacs. She said, the crook is ready to go down. Oh, he is. And let me tell you something. There's a reason that Jason Ellis is murdered. There was even a threat that more officers were going to be murdered. FBI had to get involved. He was close. Guys, Jason Ellis was so close about that family.
Know about this property because, like I said, searches have happened here before. So here is exactly what we know about this property. The 245-acre farm is located on Pascal Ballard Lane. That's right near the intersection of Loretta Road and Bardstown Road. It's about 9 miles south of downtown Bardstown. Rosemary Houck, Brooke Houck's mom, actually owns the property. Again, it's the last place Crystal Rogers is known to be alive. That's according to police. And it is not the first time investigators have searched here. Our records reveal the family farm has been searched at least 3 other times in the last 7 years. Within days of Crystal Rogers' family reporting her missing, police were at the boyfriend's family farm, closing down Pascal Ballard Lane with police cruisers.
They showed up with warrants, officers, the whole 9 yards, and they started calling lawyers to stop them. Which, by the way, you have every right to do. I would call that clue number 1. What do we say around here? Coincidence becomes evidence in these cases. Oh my goodness, Glenn gifted 20 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Make sure you check when they expire so you put your $2 back in. I don't have any $10 tiers or 25 or 50 or 100. I just couldn't imagine.
This video from July 10th, 2015 is the first time we know investigators were on the property. Family told us they watched law enforcement spend about 4 hours on the farm.
They would have something. I mean, you got to have a probable cause. So hopefully they found something and they're looking for more.
After this search, Tommy Ballard, Crystal's father.
Tommy Ballard on the screen is Crystal's daddy. He was not going to stop until he found his baby girl, Crystal. I hope that her mom is being protected as well. Too many people are dying in this case. Driveways have been dug up. They've been all over that farm. And crooks, his Bubba Nick, I'm going to call him Dick, just pretend his name is Richard, and his mama have fought them all the way. All the way.
Asked the Houck family for access to the farm. He said he wanted to search the farm with cadaver dogs, but he said the Houcks told him no. Fast forward 14 months. Investigators were back on the Houck property.
Okay. We saw this in the Mark Fullerton case. They have their own cadaver dogs and they want to search. Nope. Nope. Why would you tell someone no? Why? You be the judge. Listen to that again. They had their own cadaver dogs.
Then he wanted to search the farm with cadaver dogs, but he said the Houcks told him no. Fast forward 14 months. Investigators were back on the Houck property, this time with a search warrant and lots of extra hands.
Well, this property is the last property that she was seen at, as far as we've been told.
In total, 18 cadaver dogs, the LMPD dive team, and more than 24 investigators took part in this search. It lasted 2 days. Detectives told our crew they found items of interest and they towed those items away.
I'm hopeful. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Former lead detective on the case, John Snow, told us he believed a crime happened on the property. That was a belief shared by Crystal's family.
I mean, I felt that the whole time, whether they find something on the farm or they don't, I still feel like that's where it happened.
FBI was on scene for this search more than 6 years ago, helping local investigators comb through hundreds of acres of farmland. It was 4 years before the federal agency took the lead on the case. And that would be the next time we saw law enforcement on the farm. Video from Sky 11 showing us the work underway, August of 2020. On this day, more than 150 state and federal agents served more than 9 federal search warrants on multiple properties, including the farm.
We want to get it right. We want to ensure that that our part in this investigation, that we are doing everything we can to solve the case.
And 2 years later, renewed focus on the farm, seemingly the next step to find answers and take this case to court.
Whew. Woo. Connie just gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Look at that, making it rain. Oh my goodness. I just had a question. How do you become a member? I'll put the link in. I apologize for that. This case has got me fired up, my friends. It's got me fired up. This is crazy. Like I said, this is something that Netflix couldn't write. This is something James Patterson couldn't think of. This is something John Grisham is going, damn, I never thought of that. It's insane. Now we get to the arrest that was made last week. Woo! Look at that sexy devil. Good God. They say he's disabled. Sure he is. He's got a couple mental defects. Yeah, I really don't care. Doesn't everybody? Hell, even OJ has depression. Our vet told us. So this was the arrest. How is Joseph Lawson connected? His name was brought up back in 2015 because he actually made a phone call that night. Well, let's explain it. What links Joseph Lawson? My understanding is he did drywall work for Crooks Houck. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you know the internet sometimes tells us wrong things. But yes, he is paralyzed now. I say karma came to get him, because he sat there on this information all this time. Miss C.D. Isaacs said it was his dad that made him make the phone call. Sounds to me like when he goes to hell, he'd prefer a cooler room. Annette said, I remember his name. I do too, because when they arrested him, I said, now hang on. That fool could not have done this. And then they explained it's for conspiracy. So there's going to be other arrests.
Big question on everyone's mind. Who is Joseph Lawson, the man now facing charges in connection to the disappearance of Crystal Rogers? Well, today we went into the courthouse to get new court documents spelling out exactly how Joseph Lawson may be connected to the night Crystal was murdered. From a hospital bed, 32-year-old Joseph Lawson called into his court arraignment. A Nelson County judge on the other end of the video.
The formal reading of the indictment has been effected. The court's going to enter pleas of not guilty in both cases.
Lawson was indicted by a grand jury in June, charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence.
All right, conspiracy to commit murder on Crystal. Tampering with physical evidence, some people assume that means he helped hide the body. Some people think it's the weapon. You tell me. We have a lot of people in here that have a lot of stuff to say about this case. I'm putting the link up if you want to come up and talk, if you know about the case. Because it's a very complicated case.
Both charges filed in connection to an incident on 4th of July weekend, 2015. The same weekend, Crystal Rogers was reported missing, and just days before her keys, phone, and purse were found inside her car on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway. A warrant was issued for his arrest in July. It was executed in August, and he appeared in court via video on Thursday.
Is your date of birth January 24th of 1991?
Yes, sir.
The name may sound unfamiliar.
Did I hear his birthday right? I got to hear that again. 1991? 1991? He looks a little older than that.
January 24th of 1991?
Yes, sir.
The name may sound unfamiliar, but this actually isn't the first time we've heard the name Lawson come up in this investigation. Steve Lawson was mentioned in one of the very first police interviews between Detective John Snow and the main suspect in the case, Brooks Houck.
Okay, who is Steve Lawson? He's somebody works for me.
Houck explaining why he had a late-night phone call with Steve on the night Crystal disappeared, even calling Steve from inside the interrogation room.
The other night you called me really late, and I forgot what you asked me. Can you?
Steve is heard telling Houck he had called him because he had a question for Crystal, which Houck says he had to call and ask her and would call him back.
So that begs a question in my mind. All right.
So why would Joseph call Crooks? Joseph and his dad did work for them, if I'm reading it right. So he calls him because he had a question for Crystal. Then Crooks has to call her. Thank you, Britt Phipps, for becoming a new member. My husband's going to be co-hosting the show tomorrow. Get ready. I'm sure he's working on his dad joke right now.
All right. If she's in the truck next to you when he called, why would you need to call her?
We've since learned Steve Lawson has a son named Joseph Lawson. We're still working to confirm if his son is the same man who was arrested and is now expected back in court in October. Joseph Lawson was arraigned in Nelson County Circuit Court on two different charges. In one, he's facing a $500,000 bond. In the other, it's $50,000. He is still in custody right now. In Nelson County, I'm Shay McAllister, WHAS 11 on your side.
And I have a feeling no one's going to bail him out. His daddy's going to leave him there. Don't think the Houck family's going to get him out. He helped dig the driveway and took her car to the parkway. So he became Satan's secretary for the Houck family. Like I said, they remind me a lot of the Murdaughs. They have a lot of power in that town. They have a lot of power in that town. Reminds me a lot of Pikestown because a lot of people want to know what was the motive. Y'all tell me, what do you believe the motive was for Crystal to not be on this planet anymore? I believe it was the child. That's what I think. Control, narcissism, you name it. And as people were getting too close to the truth, and one is Crystal's daddy, they start having strange accidents, like a hunting accident, they tried to call it. He was shot in the back in front of his grandson. Exactly. Follow the money. People were digging up a lot and people were dying. Unseen said it's a cluster B potpourri. Oh, I agree. Well, we're rhyming today. Check that out. Cluster B potpourri. I agree. Woo! Thank you.
Every morning, the sun rises above Bardstown.
It's so hard.
Just like the day before, just like the days to come.
Can she go through any more? Her daughter's missing. There are 5 children that need to be raised. She's got social media trolls questioning the integrity of her missing daughter and their family, and psychics that are telling them all kinds of stuff. Can she go through any more? And on top of that, her husband, who she loves to the core, is murdered. We're here for you, Sherry. Don't listen to those people.
He was just my world.
For Tommy Ballard, the sun rose for the final time on November 19th, 2016.
You know, I had people tell me that God has a plan for everything and everything happens for a reason. I don't know that I believe that. Why would God want my husband to be murdered?
God didn't. God didn't. But the devil did, because somebody was way too close to figuring out what happened to Crystal. And let me tell you, there's a lot of unsolved crimes in Bardstown. Miss C.D. Isaac said they have so much power, poor Sherry can't even see her grandchild anymore. I read that as well. Sunshine said, you know, Officer Ellis was ambushed. Yes. He's actually going to get his own show. Because like I said, there's no way we could do this in one show. No way. This family is something else.
God want my husband to be murdered.
Days before Thanksgiving, Tommy and his grandson got into his red pickup truck. Heading to the family property, it was an early morning hunting trip. Sherry Ballard saw them out the door.
And I remember going back to my bedroom, and on the way to the bed, you know, I just said, God, look over them in the woods today. And I said it out loud, you know, I guess I was talking to God out loud, and I laid back down, and it was probably 25 minutes maybe, I got the phone call.
A phone call from her frantic grandson.
And he was so upset, and he's like, Mama, Papa's been shot. I was panicking, you know, I was trying to throw my clothes on and get ready, and I went in the bathroom. I told Trenton, I said, I'm going to call 911.
Calling for help and then racing through red lights, Sherry was desperate to be by her husband's side.
And I ran over and knelt down to Tommy, and I shook him. And I just begged him to get up. He was just laying there.
In the middle of his property, a property he knew so well, Sherry shook her husband.
I mean, there was no blood, no nothing. So I kept shaking him.
Crap, I was muted and I said genius things. Miss C.D. Isaacs says, and on top of that, she lost all rights to see Eli, her grandchild, Crystal's son with Crooks. Well, the day's going to come she will get to see him, because I have a feeling that once they break open everything on this family, she will get her grandson.
And the last time I shook him, he had blood come out of his nose. And that's when they pulled me off of him.
She ran out there. She's shaking her husband. He was shot in the back. Her sorrow is unimaginable. Crystal was in love with Crooks. Her mother not only did not trust him, she didn't trust the family, and for good reason. For good reason.
I know he was gone when he got there, but it didn't hit me. I didn't realize that. It's still hard for me to realize that today.
Kentucky State Police swarmed the scene as Ballard friends and family lined the drive. A single shot through Tommy's chest ended his life. At first, officers called it a hunting accident. And Sherry?
Hunting accident. Okay, this one says through the chest. I read something that said through the back. Again, a lot going on. Big difference. So basically, somebody sniper style was waiting for him to go hunting. And this was a normal routine. That's the reason they knew, from my understanding. A single shot through the chest.
Called that a disgrace.
This is my husband, and this is a murder, and you know it. And you're saying it's a hunting accident? No, I'm not okay with that.
Kentucky State Police tell us they are investigating Tommy's death as a homicide. But in the 3 years since he was shot and killed, they have not shared any updates about the investigation. Meanwhile, police have named a main suspect in his daughter Crystal Rogers' case, and that's Brooks Houck. Tomorrow night at 6, we take you in.
So they named Brooks, Crooks, Houck as the main suspect. Well, I believe that Crystal's family already was on to that. And there was a lot of digging going on. And I just really hope, especially with the heat that's on right now, that Sherry has a lot of protection. I mean, security alarms, cameras, emergency alerts, a freaking bullhorn, guns. I mean, ones that are easy to grab and shoot, German shepherds, because it's all going to come to light really soon. And the pressure is on, and they're going to get desperate. They've been desperate since 2015. This is part of his interrogation. Now then, watch his demeanor and watch how he tries to explain. As you know, this is not my content because I didn't do the interrogation and I didn't record it. So I will have to interrupt here and there so YouTube doesn't spank my ass.
It's been a spiral since then in October, and ever since then, their attitude towards me and everything is so wrong. For punishing a 16-year-old girl when she's not hurt, she's not hit, nothing like that. And
so we have a fake cry, and now we have a story about the way he punished one of the kids like he's the victim. We kind of heard this last night after Daisy pulled her shit. She goes live right after, and she's the victim. Miss C.D. Isaac said, yes, Tommy knew a lot. He is a liar. All he needs is a snot ring coming down like Alex Murdaugh to try to make this cry more believable.
what else do you want to know?
Take me, it's all right.
No,
It's fine to be upset. I understand. It's fine to be mad. I understand that too.
he's there asking for everybody. This is a shock to him.
It's okay to be upset by it. I understand. It's okay to be upset at her family.
Yeah, but their emotions are so shocked right now, and I can understand it. And I don't, if that's how they want to be.
But you're allowed to be emotional too.
That's
okay.
fine.
You're
what they're mad about is the darn cell phone that I took away from Ashley because her mother told for me to take it away from her. That's what they're mad about. And it's just been a spiral since then in October. And ever since then, their attitude towards me and everything is so wrong. For punishing a 16-year-old girl when she's not hurt, she's not hit, nothing like that. And I'm the worst person in the world for having any, and I understand I'm not her dad, I'm not her disciplinary figure. If she disobeyed her mother, I followed a direct order from her mother. Mother couldn't get it from her. I took her cell phone from her, and then it's just been hell ever since.
That was the whole thing about the wrist?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they took her up to the hospital and did the same with CPS and all this bunch of garbage.
He had CPS involved, and well, we know how the internet works. There's rumors about other things that were going on, things that he was saying to the 16-year-old that could be considered sexually suggestive. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm not going to feel sorry for him. He's like, I'm the worst person in the world because I did what her mother said and I took her phone. No, you're the worst person in the world, or one of them. You're definitely in the top. You get a trophy for the M word.
They ruled it unsubstantiated, or however they wanted to say it. No bearing, or whatever. When you pull the reports, they documented it all. You can get all that stuff too.
You want some water?
No, I'm good. Let's move forward. Whatever you need, I'm here to give to you. Okay. I'm innocent. I don't need an attorney, so I'm good. Ask whatever you want to ask.
Well, if we can just continue the conversation, and I don't want to rush you. Take your time. I think we left off around about Saturday morning. So you guys got up, and she wasn't there. So you and Eli got ready and went to the farm. Did you go anywhere else before you went to the farm?
I didn't stop at McDonald's or nothing to get any kind of breakfast because he had that yogurt, that squeezable
Yeah.
breakfast, whatever. I don't know, whatever. Some of them still in the refrigerator if you want one.
That's fine. So you went to the farm, and was your mom there Saturday? Do you remember?
I didn't stop at the house up there either that morning.
What do you do with Eli while you're working on the equipment? Do you have, is he in the equipment with
I'm
you?
usually not the one that works on the equipment. Sometimes I might drive some of it, but yeah, if I get on that little tractor, he rides in my lap.
No, but I'm saying you said you worked on the driveway, on the drive in front of the barn there. So
Yeah, but no, he's got 5 or 6 tricycles and big wheels and stuff like that he plays on. It don't take a lot.
This isn't about your parenting skills. Don't misunderstand.
I understand, yeah, but
I'm not asking you about that, but what, if you're working on the dozer, is he?
Yeah, dipshit. No one's asking you what you want for Father's Day. He's like, I'm not asking about your parenting skills. I'm not asking you about CPS and cell phones. I got specific questions. Answer the questions. The deflection from these suspects is always almost amusing.
Eli in the dozer with you, or is he out playing in the yard?
I'm not really working on the dozer. He's got 5 or 6 of them tricycles and big wheels things that are at the barn. And if he's not out there with the cows or something, he rides them little toys around. We got them down there in the barn. We got them out there in the driveway. It don't take a lot to entertain him. A lot of times he pedals or does whatever he does.
Sure. But how long would you think that it took you to fix that area you said was taking on water there in front of the barn with the dozer?
No, I don't know. A lot of times on Saturday, I just use that as a place to vent and get away from what I call the city, not just like Bardstown, the city, but all the city stuff that goes on, loud music and all that. Out there, you hear
Bardstown, the city. He makes it sound like it's Dallas. The hell's he talking about? Just gotta get away. All the music and, people that, see all the dirty shit I do.
your crickets.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of people. So I go out there to a lot of times just to get away from the stress of all these tenants and stuff, calling these new construction contractors and stuff. It's a kind of a little vacation away from home.
Right, but you told me earlier that on Saturday you fixed the spot in front of the barn where the water was going in.
Yeah, if the water's not, if it's not been like raining a solid week or whatever, you can't really tell if it hits and misses. Sometimes if we get a substantial amount of rain, you can kind of tell where problems are, like, and I could tell. So that's just what I did. Just piddle, just nothing important, just piddle.
Right, but would Eli normally be in the bulldozer with you while you're operating it? Was he in there with you while you were operating it?
He's drove it, not that more there he wasn't. But yeah, I mean, he has been in, he's drove the bulldozer before. He's drove all the tractors out there before.
So that morning, did you say mom was or wasn't home? You don't know?
I don't remember.
You don't know. So you don't know that he was out riding on his tricycles or whatever. When you said in the driveway, you mean the driveway for the house or the driveway where that you're working on?
Say it again now.
You said you were working on the driveway in front of the barn with the dozer, right?
Yeah, down there by.
And you said he was probably riding on tricycles or something.
Yeah, I'm sure he was running on the concrete slab. It's easier for him to pedal on the slab than it is outside there, and I can see him better. My visibility's better if he's in there than out here.
Right. So he was here by the barn and not over by the house in the barn.
No, he wasn't.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys finish up whatever you're
maybe later that day or something. He might have went over there. The chickens might have come down there. He might have done something with them. I don't know. But it's not uncommon for him to, the chickens out there, they can be fast, but they're not scared of people because he plays with them so much. But you can catch them pretty easy. I mean, he treats them like a cat.
Mm-hmm. So you guys, any idea how long you were out there? Saturday?
It was usually on Saturday I'm not in any kind of a rush because I try to take, I usually try to take it easy on Saturday.
Okay. So did you eat lunch out there?
I don't know if I ate lunch there. I know I ate supper out there at Fabian's house that night because he had everybody over there at his house for about.
Anyone find it odd that suspects never remember what they had to eat or what time it was or what was really going on? Now, victims' families, they lose track of time because severe anxiety, trauma. Chickens, or as Alex says, the chickens. So we got chickens again. It's funny how the fake tears got sucked up real damn fast. Watch some interrogations of innocent people. The tears don't stop.
I don't know, maybe 150 people over there at my mom's brother's house. We went out there for a short while. It wasn't real long. I know I ate there. Eli ate there. I don't know what we did for lunch. I can't remember.
Okay. Did you go from the farm to Fabian's, or
I don't know if I took a I may have went home and taken a shower from being out there on the farm. I don't want to go there smelling like a bunch of cows.
Sure.
I may have.
Okay. Question for those of you that have been following this case, whether it's just been the last week, last couple of years, or from the beginning. Do you think Crooks actually murdered Crystal or planned it? Cold-hearted bitch is a new member. Come on, girlfriend. You're gonna love us. He just seems to be the type to have other people do his dirty work for him. That's kind of a reason why I always question the whole Murdaugh thing. Don't get me wrong, he's involved. Missy Dew said both. Nicey Marie said, is this another Murdaugh? It's kind of a combo between Murdaugh and Pikeston. Like I said, this is something Netflix cannot write. And her family, Crystal Rogers and others, Jason Ellis, there's others that this family has taken down just to get what they want. They are living a damn nightmare.
Went home. I'm not sure. I don't know. I may have went home and took a shower and then came back. That's more than likely what I did, but I can't remember.
Okay. So then
He can't remember. Let's talk about all the people that after a murder, they have to take a shower. Alex Murdaugh comes to mind. Pikeston comes to mind. Letitia and her greasy hair come to mind. Adam Montgomery, teardrop comes to mind. They always, I had to take a shower, but I don't remember. Obviously, showering is not odd. Not odd at all. But it just always seems to come up in these interrogations.
sometime Saturday evening, you went over to Fabian's house. Do you remember around about what time that was? That would have been 4th of July.
Yeah, that's what we were supposed to go to that.
Mm-hmm. Did you all stay out there for fireworks, or?
We didn't stay that late. I know that there was a bunch of people there that I hadn't seen in a good while. That my mom's got a pretty large family that I hadn't seen that I wanted to see them, but we didn't stay out there real late.
Do you any idea how many times you've called Crystal at this point? By the time you went from getting up Saturday morning until you were going to the family gathering?
I know I called her back around maybe noon again the second time, and I don't know what the exact time I called her after that, but I know that sometimes in the past, if I called her to blow her phone up, it made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I've just called periodically, and I found that she doesn't take as much offense to that. You know, if you're just disrespectful to them, especially if somebody's mad, it just makes it worse. To
Right.
Call them. I wasn't even alarmed. I was for sure the girls were doing this to me on purpose. Brooke and Sabrina and them.
So while you're at the family gathering,
They're always a victim. They were doing this to me on purpose. Brooke, Sabrina, and them. See, and the investigator just skips all that. He doesn't care. He's like, okay, so then after that, it seems to me that he's trying to build a timeline. That's all he wants to do. He's filling in time. His feelings and who he thinks in the family is an asshole doesn't really matter. Okay, so then did you watch fireworks? Because he knows what time the fireworks were. Okay, so then after that, you may not remember, but about what time was it?
at Fabian's house, anybody ask you where Crystal was?
Mm-hmm. She hadn't went out there to Fabian's house a whole lot. Some of them people knew her, some of them people out there wouldn't have known her, but right then I don't
Not
remember.
really a big deal for them.
No, and it's something that those people there we see once every, sometimes every few years. A lot of them people really hadn't. Some of them have seen her, and a lot of them have not seen her. You know, haven't met her.
Sure.
So, like I
So
said, it was a substantial amount of people.
you're out there. You said did you say you didn't stay for fireworks?
No, we didn't stay that late.
So you and Eli leave before dark, because that's usually when people set off fireworks on 4th of July. And do you go home? You go to somebody else's house?
That was on Saturday.
Yep, that was Saturday. You go to mom's. Where do you go after you leave there?
Now he's sitting there. He's like, he's got to really think about it. Now, when you're telling the truth, there's nothing to think about. If you're under extreme trauma and anxiety, you are either just not going to talk at all or you're going to be talking too fast. But he's being calculated. He doesn't exactly have the Sarah Boone disease that basically tells everything from kindergarten to the day she got into interrogation. The truth does not change. The stalling is thinking about what to say.
No, I think we rode with my mother over there.
To Fabian's house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we rode with her, and then I went home after that.
So you rode back to mom's house with her, and then you didn't stay at mom's. You went back to your house.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know the exact timing and all that right there, but I do know that I rode with her over there to Fabian's house.
Okay. And you left her house and went home.
I don't know if I stayed there any period of time or not. I may have stayed there just a little bit. I don't think very much, but I might have stayed there a little bit. I'm not sure.
I mean, you didn't stay the night there.
No.
Did you go anywhere else after you left mom's house before you went home?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
I think what would be a good idea for folks is to put a darn camera. You think I'm joking? I'm being serious. You try to go back through this. I need to put a camera in your vehicle and up there in front of you, just live on tape, and then you.
Man, I'm not asking you to recall every detail of your life, brother. But I'm just trying to.
But it would help me if I could.
Well, but listen, I couldn't tell you what I did 2 days ago. I couldn't tell you what I did before I started investigating this, because I've been investigating this for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm not asking you to remember every single minute, but you know, and I realized that it wasn't a big deal for her to be gone for you, but you know, most people can remember, you know, most of the things they did during the day, not every single minute, but you remember going to Fabian's house, you remember leaving Fabian's house, going to mom's, right? And going, so if you went from mom's house to home, you'd eat dinner at Fabian's.
And I don't know if it was her mother. I met her mother at the gas station somewhere. One of them days.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother, Sherry,
mm-hmm.
Crystal's mother, Sherry, And I don't know if Ashley was with her and other kids were with them, but I stopped at right there in front of Walmart where I get a bunch of.
Always got to be a Walmart. Now listen to what he says about when he runs in to Crystal's mom. I'm surprised there's not a Dollar General involved. I'm so glad there's not a Dollar General yet.
Fuel at up right at that Murphy station across from Lowe's right there.
Right.
And I was on the phone with either Ashley or Sherry, one, I forgot which, and they said, I tell you what I've done too. I talked to Brooke on the phone at the farm. I talked to Brooke, her younger sister, before I left because I was heading into town to get fuel at that point. So whatever time that I talked to Brooke, you'll know that I left. So make a note of that. I talked to Brooke on the.
This reminds me so much of Murdaugh when he leans up and he goes, so make a note of that. And he does. He's going to write it down. He's going to write it down because he's going to basically try to feed him his case. That's what he tried to do, but they already knew. They knew.
The phone, and that's when I was leaving the farm on 49. And I drove in 49, and then I made a right there on 150 and went up there to Walmart. And then I got on the phone with Sherry or Ashley, when I don't know whose phone they were on. But that'll help me right there because that's you can pinpoint an exact time. And then I pulled in there to that Murphy station. And then Sherry came up there to my window.
Okay.
And asked me if I had seen Crystal. And this right here is after I have I talked to Barbara Lane and I sent her, I called her a couple times. I don't think I got an answer. She's probably busy doing something. And then I sent her a text message. And after I kind of stayed on her, she knew that it was serious because it'd been longer than normal when she'd done this before in the past.
And this was Saturday?
I'm not sure. You'll have to. So much stuff happened also quick. You'll just have to dissect. That's the reason I've given you all my stuff.
Sure,
You can dissect all that and figure, get an exact time. So I called Barbara and then I sent her a text message. I talked to her mother at Walmart, up there at that Murphy gas station. I had Eli with me then, of course, had him with me all the time. And she wanted to look at Eli. She said, "Where's Eli?" I said, "Right there." And then she spoke to him and she looked at him and said hi. And he said hi, and that was it.
So she just asked you if you'd seen Sherry and you told her no?
No, she asked me if I saw
Crystal, sorry.
Crystal.
My name's confused. So Sherry asked you if you'd seen Crystal.
She's the only one. Everybody else stayed in her vehicle. And then she walked over to my truck.
And when you told her I haven't seen her, don't know where she is, and she just said okay and asked.
No, she thought that the wisest thing for us to do was she said she was going to go to the police station.
Okay. So
and I told her that I think at that point I've already talked to Barbara. I believe, I'm not sure, Barbara Lane.
So that's when we have to start developing a story. Sherry knew something was really wrong. So she tells him, I'm going to the police station. He's trying to keep all the lies straight. Again, we have a crime on a very unusual day. He makes sure to be seen by all these people. He can tell you, but there's gaps he can't fill in. That's always an issue.
And I'm not sure. I don't know the time periods. I don't know. I just don't know.
That's fine. That's fine. So
then I went home.
So Saturday you went home after
the gas station.
So you think that was okay? So you think the gas station was between leaving the farm and getting showered up before you go to Fabian's?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
No, that's incorrect. He knows what he's telling him. He's trying to fill in a timeline, it seems to me. He has to figure out where the asshole was all day and about that time, because he knows. No, listen to how he answers him.
Gas station was between leaving the farm and getting showered up before you go to Fabian's.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
No, that's incorrect. All right, so now the ears are perked because this, for some reason, is really bothering him. It's not right.
You said you were leaving to go get fuel.
Yeah, I did leave the farm to go get fuel. I don't know. I don't know if that was Friday. I don't know if that was Saturday that I got fuel. I'm sure I did it with my card. I can prove what time that was too.
And
So I talked to
maybe
Sherry.
Sunday. Do you think it was this? Do you think you talked to Sherry the same day they reported her missing? You said she said something.
Yes, she said the day that
So they reported her missing on Sunday.
Then it was Sunday. I feel like whenever. That's because Sherry told me she's going to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sherry the one that reported her missing?
Mm-hmm.
Sherry's. All right. I had a question from the media or from the news that I wanted to ask you all. Think about you all said that a family member found her car. How does that happen?
Woo! I can tell you, you POS. On the news, it said a family member found her car. How does that happen? Well, because the news can figure shit out. And it was her dad. That car was planted. They were trying to make it look like kidnapping, in my opinion. How does that happen? See, now we're concerned. No!
I'm sure I did it with my card. I can prove what time that was too.
And
So I talked to
maybe
Sherry.
Sunday. Do you think it was this? Do you think you talked to Sherry the same day they reported her missing? You said she said something.
Yes, she said the day that
So they reported her missing on Sunday.
Then it was Sunday. I feel like whenever. That's because Sherry told me she's going to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sherry the one that reported her missing?
Mm-hmm.
Sherry's. All right. I had a question from the media or from the news that I wanted to ask you all. Think about you all said that a family member found her car. How does that happen? Rather than the police department, as large as this county is, a family member.
Well, that's a pretty big family, and as I understand it, someone who knew them called them and said there's a car that looks like hers on the parkway, and they went out there.
Who was the family member that found that car?
I don't know. I have to look at my notes. There were two of them.
Am I able to know that question, that
I can
answer?
tell you who it was. I just have to look back through my notes and see who it was. And I'm not great either, but I want to say that it was. I'm trying to think. There was.
You can look back at them. I'm sure.
I want to say it was a brother and nephew. I know we took elimination prints from one of them because they touched the car before we got there. So we took elimination prints from them like we did from you to rule out any prints that we found in the cars being that person's.
All right.
So I want to say that it was one of her brothers. I mean,
he's concerned and the police are lying to him. It was her daddy that found the car. He's like, we had to take elimination prints because they touched the car. So they know that they had to rule them out. Now, watch his foot. He's sitting there with his leg crossed, just about to shit his britches. They're giving him real facts, not his made-up commentary from what happened. So we took elimination prints. We think it was this. They got a big family. It could have been this person, this person. Police can lie to you. They should. Because he should be telling the truth.
she said something.
Yes, she said the day that
So they reported her missing on Sunday.
Then it was Sunday. I feel like whenever. That's because Sherry told me she's going to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sherry the one that reported her missing?
Mm-hmm.
Sherry's. All right. I had a question from the media or from the news that I wanted to ask you all. Think about that you all said that a family member found her car. How does that happen? Rather than the police department, as large as this county is, a family member.
Well, that's a pretty big family, and as I understand it, someone who knew them called them and said, there's a car that looks like hers on the parkway, and they went out there.
Who was the family member that found that car?
I don't know, I have to look at my notes. There were two of them.
Am I able to know that question, that
I can
answer?
tell you who it was. I just have to look back through my notes and see who it was. And I'm
That's
not great either, but I want to say that it was. I'm trying to think. There was.
You can look back at them, I'm sure.
I want to say it was a brother and nephew. I know we took elimination prints from one of them because they touched the car before we got there. So we took elimination prints from them like we did from you to rule out any prints that we found in the cars being that person.
All right.
So I want to say that it was one of her brothers. Let me just
She only had Casey's, her only
Casey's.
brother.
So I want to say it was her brother and maybe her dad that went out there. But I think it was her brother that somebody actually called, but that may be incorrect. I'll have to look at the notes.
All right.
But so
Moonshadow said, so if Lawson parked the car, why were his prints now not found on the car? Who left the car there? The family, just me said gloves. It could be that simple. It could be that simple. The family of Crystal was not going to give up, and he's pissed. Who found that car? What would it matter? You should be thankful, you sack of shit.
Saturday evening, you went to Fabian's house, you had dinner, you went home. You're home all evening with Eli? Okay. Anybody come over? Anybody not?
Yeah, Richie comes over to my house all the time. He's over every day.
Who's Richie?
Richie Riggs. He's my manager, my real estate agent. He lives next door at 115 Glenview Drive.
Okay, so he can't tell, he doesn't know shit about shit, but he knows his real estate agent's address. He's trying to imply the family's involved. Who found that car? I love how the detective answered, well, we did elimination prints. He knows what elimination means, and he knows his real estate agent's address.
He's one of the people on that list.
Okay. So you go to bed Saturday night. You got Eli with you, presumably, because you said you guys went home from Fabian's.
Not presumably, he was with me.
Right. Well, I didn't want to put words in your mouth, so if he's with you, tell me.
He's with me. Yeah, he was with me.
Again, not trying to offend. I just don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I don't want you to either.
So you and Eli go to bed Saturday night. You get up normal time Sunday morning. Y'all go to church?
No, sir.
Okay.
Didn't go to church. But on Sunday, I don't remember what we did Sunday.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to.
Is Sunday when I went in? Is Sunday when I came up here and talked to you that night, or Saturday night?
That would have been Sunday night. Mm-hmm. Sorry, let me make sure you give me what I need here. Your phone's on my desk. That's what he was telling me.
That's fine. I ain't worried about that. Hope you had fun answering it.
He probably didn't answer it. Yeah, Sunday night you came up here and talked to me. That was after they found the car and everything. So sometime Sunday after 12 o'clock is when you talked to Sherry at the gas station. I think, and I'd have to look at your phone to see, but correct me, and you may know or might know, but you called Barbara. You call her Barbara Lane. I just call her Barbara. That's all I've ever known her by. But Barbara Roby was a Ballard, right?
Yeah.
You called her and talked to her about Crystal being gone, or she called you?
No, I'm the one calling her.
Okay. And what does that conversation sound like?
I think the first time that I called her, that I don't think she answered the phone. So I left a message, and then I don't got a response, and then I sent a text message to her, and that's when she called back, and I think she tried to call her, and she didn't get an answer.
Okay.
And you know.
So I'm piecing things together from what they've told me as well. So at some point you do talk to her on the phone, but when you get up Sunday morning and Crystal's still not home, or you're starting to get concerned, that's why you call Barbara? Or?
Yes, exactly. That's the reason that I did call her. But before then, I wasn't alarmed. She'd done this before,
right?
And I wasn't alarmed. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. So you call.
But according to people that know her and love her, he's like, oh, she's done this before. I wasn't worried about it. She's just going to go away, not check on her kids, not communicate, nothing. She's done this before. When? She's a grown woman. Her mama reported her missing. Her mama did. Not him. She's done this before. I didn't think about it.
Oh, Barbara.
I gave Barbara Lane more credibility than Sabrina, Brooke, or any of them, because I know them young girls, if Crystal tells them not to say nothing, you ain't gonna be able to beat it out of them.
Right.
And them girls they're just like, especially to a guy, if they're fighting, they're not, and I'm smart enough to know that I knew Barbara would say, hey, she don't want to talk to you, or she's fine, just leave her, give her some time. I knew Barbara wouldn't keep me. She's a mature woman. Do you understand the difference in what I mean? So
Barbara's a mature woman. Do you understand the difference? As if this guy doesn't know. Lisa Durr, this is such an important thing to remember. This is such an important thing in this case. Sherry towed the car to her home and kept it in a garage until police were ready to look at her car as evidence. Keep that in your cap. Glenn says, listen to this guy.
She would at least, I feel like, let me know, hey, where I wouldn't have to worry.
Right.
She might not give me no details or nothing, which is fine, but she would at least ease my concern. And that's the reason I called her over these other people, because I knew I'd get further with her.
And at some point, so you do talk to her, and as I understand it, at some point she came over to your house. Is that right?
She's been there a few times since then.
Right, but that particular day she came over to your house, was that before or after you talked to Sherry? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
No, that's fine. So you...
To be honest with you, I don't even remember doing that. I remember seeing her a bunch more this last little bit than I really ever had before, but I don't, as far as talking to...
The lack of concern, the lack of emotion, the stalling for answers, and I still don't think he did it. I hate to say it that way, but it's YouTube and I have to be careful. I have always in this case looked at his brother. I don't know why. Because Joseph is just too damn dumb. Don't think for a minute there can't be more people involved. And I've always wondered about his mother. She reminds me a lot of the Piketown mother. She's a real Ma Barker. You're not coming on my land. You're not searching anything. And she's going to protect the family. It's almost like it's a mobster mentality. Not almost. It's a mobster mentality.
Sherry at the gas station and then keeping everything synchronized. I had no idea. None.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know that Sherry was here at 3 o'clock thereabouts filing the report, the missing persons report. So that part I can kind of figure out, okay, so it was sometime before 3 o'clock that you talked to her at the gas stations. I'm thinking probably, closer to that time than farther away, not early in the morning, what have you. And then, of course, fast forward till they find the car at 5 o'clock out on the parkway, and the sergeant responds out there, and then he calls me, and then I come out and start investigating, and obviously I call you to come and talk to me about the last time that you saw Crystal. So that kind of builds my timeline. Obviously, there's some gaps in there, understandably. But, some of those gaps become really important. For instance, validating or invalidating the guy's statement about her being on 49 between 1 and 2. You see what I'm saying? The gaps in time become really important to me because that's how I determine where my gaps in the investigations are and where I should focus my investigation.
Okay, and there it is. Time is crucial. Time is crucial in these cases. You guys hear me say it all the time. All the time. Time is crucial. I know what time I got up this morning. I know that I had to feed OJ right away. I know I grabbed my coffee, went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth. I know all this. I know all this about my day. I know what time I started this show. Not to mix cases, but let's look at some other crimes. I'm not going to put them on the screen where people cannot fill in their time. Candace Wells cannot tell you anything from when she got home to when she called 911. Letitia Stout has no calculation of time. The day that Gannon was murdered, and she has been convicted for that. Terry Horman and Dee Dee Spiker cannot tell you anything about the 3 hours that are missing from their timeline in the disappearance of Kyron Horman. The 4 suspects in the case of Michael Vaughn cannot fill in their time of that day. Shall I go on? Adam Montgomery cannot, that's Teardrop, fill in the time gap for the day that Harmony Montgomery was murdered. Exactly. This idiot doesn't understand. He's trying to fill in the time. I need the time.
She would at least, I feel like, let me know, hey, where I wouldn't have to worry.
Right.
She might not give me no details or nothing, which is fine, but she would at least ease my concern. And that's the reason I called her over these other people, because I knew I'd get further with her.
And at some point, so you do talk to her, and as I understand it, at some point she came over to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
She's been there a few times since then.
Right, but that particular day she came over to your house, was that before or after you talked to Sherry? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
No, that's fine. So you...
To be honest with you, I don't even remember doing that. I remember seeing her a bunch more this last little bit than I really ever had before, but I don't, as far as talking to Sherry at the gas station and then keeping everything synchronous, I had no idea. None.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know that Sherry was here at 3 o'clock thereabouts filing the report, the missing persons report.
Okay, listen to the times. A lot of times, most of the time, when they bring somebody into a room with no windows, they're prepared to arrest because they have a lot of information. May not be enough for a judge to sign an arrest warrant, but they have a lot. So he's already got times. I love the way that this was prepared.
So that part I can kind of figure out, okay, so it was sometime before 3 o'clock that you talked to her at the gas stations. I'm thinking probably, closer to that time than farther away, not early in the morning, what have you. And then, of course, fast forward till they find the car at 5 o'clock out on the parkway, and the sergeant responds out there, and then he calls me, and then I come out and start investigating, and obviously I call you to come and talk to me about the last time that you saw Crystal. So that kind of builds my timeline. Obviously there's some gaps in there, understandably. But some of those gaps become really important. For instance, validating or invalidating the guy's statement about her being on 49 between 1 and 2. You see what I'm saying? The gaps in time become really important to me because that's how I determine where my gaps in the investigations are and where I should focus my investigation. I've got guys.
Okay. He's basically spelling it out for him. This is when you would get an attorney, not that I'm on his side. Take a second and give this video a like, please, because this is such an important case and it needs support. Where the gaps in time are is where I have to focus my investigation. We heard that in the Gannon Stout case. We talked about Kyron Horman on Tuesday afternoon, and there was a detective that said, your gaps in time are where I have to focus. See, now right here, he's going to change his demeanor.
Out there that all I got to do is call them and say, hey, go check this out. But I have to have something for them to check out before I can call and tell them. Couple things that I want to get into that are going to be, somewhat personal, okay? And it's not intended to pry into your personal life. It's intended to pry into what's going on in Crystal's mind, okay? I'm trying to get a reference for her frame of mind for the past few days before she goes missing so that I can rule out any possibility of intention to harm self.
Okay, now he's asking what was going on with Crystal. If you guys follow Chris McDonough on the Interview Room, he's had several shows about victimology. He's like, so tell me about what was going on with her. He already knows that he can't fill in the time gaps, and he's not going to do it. The foot's shaking like crazy. He's looking down. He's trying to force a cry. Watch him.
Or things of that nature. You understand? And I don't know that I can rule that out. But what do you think about it? Do you think that that she has the potential to harm herself?
I don't know any of all that. Crystal is not that kind of person. I don't believe at all. I don't feel that way at all.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think she had any suicidal tendencies whatsoever?
No, sir.
Never tried it in the past?
No.
Never come close to ODing on drugs in the past?
No.
When she would go out, did she drink much?
She not a whole family drinks, but she drinks a little bit, not any.
To the point where somebody has to bring her home and drop her on the front stoop?
No, she ain't no drunk.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said sometimes she goes out after you go to bed.
They do drink and they need a driver, but they're not what you're describing is like a sloppy drunk, just somebody got tore down. I mean,
right.
That's not an accurate picture of her.
Okay.
And she likes going out and having a good time, but I mean, she's, I guess, I don't want to say like a maybe conservative person, but
sure.
Just a normal, typical
social drinker.
Yeah, normal, typical person likes to have a good time. I mean, that's it.
So, if you had to guess, how often would you say she would go out?
She doesn't go out real often. Not real often. I mean, she's got all those all her kids, and we got Eli. I mean, we have a pretty busy lifestyle, and seems like we've always got kids here and there. So I mean,
right.
We don't have a whole lot of time to do that. We don't like to get babysitters all the time. You know, sometimes if her parents have a couple of the kids, or Keith might have a couple of them, we might go out with. Usually, you know, with Eli, we don't usually seldom ever get a babysitter for him, and we take him with us. But other than that,
well, I guess the reason I'm confused about that is because you said it was not unusual for her to go out with the girls.
It's not unusual.
Yeah, so we're not. So help me understand. You mean?
But that's
once a month, or once every other month, or? I mean, how much time are we talking about here? You know, because my wife might have a girl night a couple times a year, but she might not be the typical wife either.
Yeah,
I don't
know. Probably about 2 times every 3 months.
Okay.
Like once every 6 weeks or something like that.
Sure. Okay. So you said Eli generally does not go to a babysitter.
No, he doesn't. I don't want him at a baby, and I certainly don't want him at somebody's house that smokes. I just don't. I don't want it. I'd rather just keep him right with me, and I'd rather if we're going out doing something, I'd rather just take him right along.
Okay, he has a lot to say about Eli. Again, we go back to Pikeston. And I know a lot of people, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. A lot of people believe since she wanted to get away from him, and she would definitely be taking Eli. He couldn't stand her other kids. He was freaking mean to them. Okay, he was mean to her children. She wanted to get away from him. But he wasn't about to let Eli go. He's extremely concerned about Eli. Extremely. So what do you think the motive is? And they don't need a motive, but I'm always curious about it.
Right along with
Well, so that kind of brings me to one of my questions that I had. When we talked a little bit about the last time that we talked when we were at your house, and you kind of explained it, and I get the fact that she would tell the kids, hey, we got a babysitter for the night or for the evening, we're going to go out, I get that. You explained that the other kids kind of get jealous.
And
if you guys
we don't want to hurt their feelings.
Sure.
Especially Kylie, the situation, she's always wanted any kid really wants a father figure in her life. She's really struggled in that area, and her mother doesn't want her to think that she's pushing one of the children out and then the other one can go with us. I mean, that's normal. In my opinion,
Sure.
it is.
And I get why she might tell Keith that, because Keith has two kids. She doesn't want him to tell them differently than what she's told them. Are you familiar with a woman named Christina Holly?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
There are some text messages between her and Crystal on Friday. And she's asking Crystal if she wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese, I think it was. Something to do with the kids. Something with the kids. And she tells her the same thing. Well, we've got a sitter for the evening. It's our first time being kid-free for a while, so we don't want to, we're kid-free. We're going to enjoy ourselves.
Right.
Why would she lie to her about that?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Are her and Christina close?
Yeah, I mean, they've always been good friends. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Do they, close enough that they see each other on a regular basis every few days, or
no,
talk on the phone? Or
they talk on the phone, but I don't know if they see each other that often. But I think we were also supposed to maybe go to the zoo or something too. She's got a little girl that's really close to this, born in the same month apart.
As Eli?
Yeah, as Eli. Mm-hmm.
It's just curious to me. These are the things that make me wonder. And in any other situation, they might not amount to nothing. But
did you ever talk to the girl, the Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
and she says there was no plans for her to babysit.
All right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that Crystal hadn't planned for someone else to watch him. I don't know that. You know that because you and Crystal have him together. But I don't know that because I don't know you guys.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes she might use Crystal's phone. I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Right.
I do not know the answer.
Okay. But as far as you know, you all did not have plans for a babysitter there.
No, absolutely no.
The plan was.
All right. This is a lot to go through, and I apologize. Before he said, oh, no, he doesn't want a babysitter around Eli, especially someone that smokes. She went out, he said 2 or 3 times a month, and he's like every 6 weeks. So he's not going to tell anything. He's not going to tell anything. So now he's hit upside the head with a brick when he says, she was talking about getting a babysitter, saying you guys are going to be kid-free, after he was saying that they weren't. Then we changed leg positions and the foot's not working. Let's please not forget what we have learned before.
Drive a narcissistic person in a relationship are power, control, and domination. And the narcissistic person uses the relationship as a source of validation. If those needs are not being met or cannot be achieved, that is a contributor to the volatility of these relationships.
the volatility of these relationships. Power, control. See, he had no control over the other children. They're not his biologically. He had to control her. He had to control Eli. And I have a lot of questions about the barn. The barn. Now let's get to Bubby. Nick. During this interrogation, his brother called. Now, mind you, he was not under arrest, so he can take a phone call. Okay? If you remember in the Scott Peterson interview, his phone was ringing and he didn't answer it. So I'll give old boy here a star for answering the phone, because the FBI said it was very odd for Scott Peterson to not answer his phone, considering his wife is missing. It could have been an update. It could have been they found her and he just silenced his phone. But he answered the phone. I believe it was a planned phone call. Listen to this phone call.
Can I get this? Sure. Hello? No. I'm up here. I know that you didn't know. I'm up here in this interview with the Detective Snow. I've been up here a good little while. I'm filling out this this statement here and everything. Are you telling me that's what I need to do? I know that. But the way that I look at it is, I'm innocent. I ain't done nothing wrong. What, you know? I know you told me innocent.
Oh, he's giving him hell. And again, today we cannot go through the episode of Nick Houck because it's insane. And not all of Jason Ellis. So get ready, because there's a lot to go through. This is one of those you better have your pen and paper. I believe this was a planned phone call.
People have got jammed up, but if you're telling me to leave, I'll get up and leave. If you want me to. I know I'm going through a lot, but I'm trying to get this guy to help me. I don't think she's ran off with some other guy. I don't believe that. You can't make me think that. No.
This was scripted. I don't think she ran off with some other guy. Mind you, Nick works with the police and he got fired. He wouldn't take a polygraph. They gave a huge press conference about it. It was bad. And Britt, you nailed it. He's only saying out loud what he wants them to hear.
Yeah, so do I. I'll do exactly what you're telling me to do right now. You want me to get up and leave? Man, I don't think these guys. I don't think these people are vindictive just to skin me for no reason. Man, this is not their family. This is not. All right, thank you. He thinks y'all gonna fuck is what he thinks.
I don't know who he is.
Nick, my brother.
If you want to go, you're free.
No, I know it, but I'm not. He just said just to keep sitting up here, to give a statement, do an interview, whatever I got to do it. But he said, darn, just to keep letting them just beat you to death over this right here. Just ask what you got to ask and let you know.
And you tell me.
You see what I mean, he knows more about this than I do. You see what,
And have I told you that I'm for you?
yes, you have.
I said, what did I say? My job is to find Crystal, right?
That's right.
However that happens, my job is to find her, whether I
Right.
find her hopefully alive and well and safe somewhere or not. My job is to find her. If I don't find her alive and well, my job is to prosecute the person that did something.
That's right.
If that turns out to be you, my job is to prosecute you. If that turns out to be someone else, my job is to prosecute them, to gather
Yes.
evidence for a lawyer, a prosecutor to prosecute them. I don't know whether that person will be you or not. Did I not tell you when you come in here?
I love how he's giving him simple civics, 8th grade civics. It is my job to collect evidence and give it to a lawyer, a prosecutor to prosecute. If it's you, it's you. If it's someone else, it's them. I'm not beating you to death. I'm just asking you questions. He acts like he's cooperating. This was staged.
Here and sat down today that right now you're the main person of interest.
Yes, that's right.
And I explained to you the reason that you're the main person of interest, right? You're the last person to see her alive, right? And I went through your timeline with you and explained to you that there's gaps in your timeline.
Okay. You're the last person to see her. Let's not forget they had a volatile relationship. And you have gaps in your timeline. He spelled out the timeline before. Listen, I'm just trying to figure out your timeline. So then we get all nervous. The foot's shaking, then we're back to other stuff. Listen to this again.
So you're alive, right? And I went through your timeline with you and explained to you that there's gaps in your timeline, right? Be it good, bad, or indifferent, you can't remember some things about Saturday, you can't remember some things about Sunday. That's not a judgment against you, that's just a fact. I am simply a fact finder. If you want to go, you may go at any time you wish to. I would never dream of stopping you, didn't tell you you had to stay. If you want to bring a lawyer in and answer questions with a lawyer, you're welcome to do that. I'd have been asking you the very same questions in front of your lawyer that I asked you today, right? I have not given up hope of finding her alive. That being said, you know as well as I do, the longer this draws out, the less likely we are to find her alive unless she's run off somewhere. I mean, that's just a fact.
That's right.
That's just the facts as they are. I am not for you. I am not against you. I am not for her family or against her family. Right now, my job is to work for Crystal. Plain and simple. It's just that simple. If that means that I have to interrogate you, then that's what I have to do. You've been nothing but cooperative with me. I appreciate that. We've talked. This makes number 3, third time?
I don't know. I can't.
3 times. Here, the first time. At your house, the second time. And here, the third time again. Not counting the polygraph, because I didn't ask you any questions then. You've not asked for a lawyer. You're right. That's your right to do. You're entitled to do that. If Nick thinks you should go and you want to take his advice, go ahead. It's fine. I'm not offended by that. My job is not to make you happy. My job is to find Crystal. If that makes you happy, awesome. You know, but make no mistake, my job is to find her. That's what I'm doing. If I offend people in the midst of that, well, I'll apologize later for offending people. If it finds her home safe, then I'll just take the blunt of offending people and go on. You know, just like what you said. What'd you say? Doesn't matter what they think of you, as long as we find her.
That's right.
So that being said, you know, you're free to take Nick's advice if he wants you to leave. I don't really have any more questions with you. I was just going to tell you where we go next.
All right, yeah, well, wrap it up and you tell me what we're doing next, and if it's over, it's maybe it's false alarm.
So, yeah, you know, here's what I'm looking at, right? I'm trying to find video of her car getting on the parkway, whether it's New Haven Road or 150, trying to find some video of her car getting on the parkway in hopes that it will reveal to us when it gets on the parkway, because there's some confusion about that. Some people calling in saying they saw it on Saturday. Some people calling in saying they saw it on Sunday morning. Some people calling in saying it wasn't there Saturday or Sunday morning. That's just the nature of the beast. When you put information out there, you get a lot of the facts. So I'm trying to figure out when it got on the parkway, and if I can, who was driving it when it got on the parkway. Maybe she was driving it, maybe she wasn't. Maybe somebody else was driving it. I don't know. You know, maybe somebody stole it and it got a flat tire and they left it on the parkway. I have no idea. There's a million possibilities about how it got on there. So I'm trying to figure that out. I would like to fill in the gaps in your timeline. I may be able to do that with the video at your aunt and uncle's house.
I want to fill in the gaps in your timeline. Genius here should have gotten an attorney, but like he said, I'm going to ask the same questions if your attorney's here, but the attorney's going to say, don't answer that. Don't answer that. That's their job. It's the state's job to figure all that out. And he's explaining, I'm going to do it.
Because they may be able to show me when you came and went from the farm on Saturday, those kind of things. I'm probably going to interview your mom. I'm probably going to interview Nick and ask them, you know, if they were with you anytime during that time. Maybe they have a little better memory of it. They can fill in those gaps. I'm probably going to interview the employees that called you Friday and Saturday, or Friday evening and then Saturday, to interview them and ask them, you know, when you called him, what did you talk about? How long did you talk? Mr. Stanley or whatever his name is, you know, did he answer the phone? Did you all talk on Saturday morning? If you did, what did you talk about? Did you go see him? Those kinds of things to help me fill in your timeline, which gives me a better idea of whether or not you're involved in her disappearance. And that's what I do. So, and then once I've done as much as I feel like I can do, I'm going to move on to other things. I'll be honest. Beyond that, short of finding her somewhere, I've done about all the forensic countermeasures I can do. You know, we've gone through the car with a fine-tooth comb. We fingerprinted the car. We've gone through her purse. We're going to start going through bank records. You know, she did have an account. I know you told me you didn't know that she did or didn't. She did have an account of some sort. My understanding is maybe from a family member that there was some Social Security disability from Keith for the kids that maybe went into that account. Maybe that's the case. We'll kind of look into that. You know, we'll start questioning people about the validity of those kinds of things, about the apartment and those kind of things.
Money, money, money. Rent houses, the CPS case the October before, her threatening to take Eli away. There is a lot of stuff he's hitting him with real fast. Things that they already know. And he wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful of it because he knows he can't.
And try to get a better idea if that's just a shady rumor or whatever, you know. But unfortunately, I've got to dispel all these rumors. You know, that's part of my job. We've got to either prove them, disprove them, or no, we can't do either. So that's where I'm at. All right. So I appreciate you coming in. If I ask you to come in again, or if I come see you, again, know that you're always welcome to tell me you don't want to talk to me anymore. That's perfectly okay. All right?
Are you completely done with my phone?
Yes, sir.
Damn. And now here we are in 2023. One arrest has been made for conspiracy. That is Joseph Lawson. Don't think they're done talking to him. That means others are coming. Again, there is no way we can cover all of this in one show. The next show we do about this is going to be more of the interrogation, more about Jason Ellis. This is just going to be basically a teaser. And I really want to dig into his brother, Nick. The one that called during the interrogation and said, get out of there. He got fired and it was a big deal. But you have to look at Jason Ellis as well, in my opinion.
And how are those who loved him coping after all this time?
WDRB Stefan Johnson has been digging into what happened a decade ago. Stefan?
Jason Ellis's widow believes the killer will be brought to justice. She tells me that confidence comes from her faith in God and the people in charge of the investigation.
Next thing I know, I'm getting a knock on the door.
It has been 10 long years since a knock at the door changed her life forever.
I had never met the chaplain before that night, but it was the chaplain and another officer.
The chaplain and officer were there to deliver devastating news.
They just said, "I'm sorry, there's been an accident." And I'm like, "What do you mean there was an accident?" And I said, "Is he okay?"
Amy Ellis Brown is the widow of fallen Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis.
The other officer had tears. He said, "No, we didn't make it."
That day, Amy lost her college sweetheart, father of her children,
We were married 9 years.
and devoted husband.
I did not think in my wildest dreams that we would not have answers. Like, I thought we would know within that first few months or a year.
But months eventually turned to years.
No, I did not think we would be here 10 years later.
Outside the Bardstown Police Department, there are memorials, and inside, the walls are covered with images of the fallen officer.
Every year, it seems like we feel like, okay, you know, they feel like maybe they're closer.
Right now, the reward stands at nearly $250,000, and the case is being investigated by Kentucky State Police and the FBI.
And then it just never pans out.
Not only has there not been an arrest, but neither police nor Amy knows why it happened.
I, to this day, still have I don't understand, like, why him. I mean, he was well liked.
Before joining the department, Ellis played minor league baseball for a Cincinnati Reds affiliate.
He was very sweet and kind, and he had a big heart, and he would do anything for anybody.
Amy says the college sweethearts also had dreams.
You know, we had plans that, that things that we wanted to do and accomplish and where we wanted to be. And yes, growing old together.
That dream had a tragic ending.
I believe in God's timing, and I do believe in those that are working on the case.
But Amy doesn't believe it's how the story will end.
I know that they are wholeheartedly, tirelessly working on it, and I do trust that one day it will be solved.
Amy has moved away, remarried, and her boys are now teenagers.
They were young, they were 6 and 7.
But part of her heart will always live in Bardstown. And at least once a year, she returns for the memorial honoring her late husband.
I go every year, and I will be there on Thursday as well.
Heartbreaking, beautiful town, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, it's like you're looking at a Hallmark card. It's like you're looking at a Norman Rockwell painting. Gorgeous town. But there is something going on there. Again, it will remind you of like the Murdaws. There's someone running it. And thank goodness that the FBI are not going to stop. Well, I know who else is not going to stop. Pat K gifted some memberships. Raining. And my heart breaks for all of the families involved. I love when Jason's wife said, "I believe in God's timing." They know that the truth will come to light. You cannot hide the truth. It will come out someday, and it will heal this beautiful town. It will. Well, I appreciate you guys all being here and going through this. Again, we cannot get through the entire case today. Not at all. But we are going to continue it. Don't worry, because we really have to talk about Bubby. Oh, yeah. We really have to talk about him because he is neck deep in the disappearance of Crystal, and I believe he had a little something to do with the fallen officer. And there's more going on. It's money. It's corruption. It's power. It's a lot. I want to say thank you so much to you guys again for being the best community on YouTube. Thank you for all the gifted memberships today. Kat, thank you for your super sticker and supporting the channel. We have a lot of new members, and you don't want to miss the members live over the weekend. I have a recording that I want to share just with our friends that will knock your socks off. And we're going to talk about a serial killer. Greg is going to be the co-host tomorrow. Okay. We have the best mods, best members, best community, best chat on YouTube. Thank you for being here every morning at 9 a.m. talking true crime. Now, I'm going to be back here in about an hour, hour and a half. I haven't even scheduled it yet. I want to go through with you guys about a teacher that was arrested in Oklahoma, another one who was intoxicated on the job at 8:45 in the morning. I want to go through it because I think there's a little something else going on there. I don't think it's quite as cut and dry as what they're telling. So come back. We'll have lunch together. You guys are the best. Love you. Love our little family here.